everybody, I'm Vasel, and today we're taking a look at AI Space Puzzle. Now I know what some people automatically when they see the name of this game, which is a pretty terrible name, AI Space Puzzle. They might run away like, that's not what this is. The only reason it's called AI, there's nothing really AI about the game, is that one player is playing the computer, and everyone is trying to solve a puzzle, but the person who is the computer, the AI, is giving clues to everybody else, but they can only use little tiles to do so. So let's take a look at how it plays. Like I said, don't be thrown off by how it looks or sounds. It's a very interesting game. We'll be right back. At the beginning of a mission of Space AI Puzzle, you're going to put out these 16 cards randomly to form a board. You're going to pick a mission from a book that's going to, so let's say I'm playing this mission here. It's telling me some of the information, how many turns we're going to have over the course of the game, how many people can be on the board, and how many moves players can make each turn of the game. It also shows me what tiles we're going to use. So one person's going to be the computer. They're going to get a shield that they're going to be putting their tiles behind. They're also going to get one of these cards. So there are multiple cards in the game, and you'll take one, and this is going to randomly give you information. You can rotate it any side. So let's say it's this side. This tells me that the yellow astronaut is here, the green astronaut is here, the red one is here, the white one is here. This is an X spot, which may or may not do something depending on the scenario. You'll also notice each of these has a die associated with them. So sometimes you're trying to guess that die and what the number is on it, 2, 5, 3, or 4. So I know this information, no one else does. The players will have a board which they can help keep track of information, but it all comes down to the tiles. See, the AI cannot talk to the other players. All that the AI can do is they can move these tiles around. And you might not even have all the tiles, but let's say I have the red tile, and I have this tile, and this tile here. So I might put these tiles behind my screen like that, all touching each other. That's a pretty basic thing, and I'm telling everyone that the red astronaut is on the tile that has both of those symbols. Well, everyone's going to look at the board and see the different symbols that are out there. Well, both symbols are here, but there's a third symbol. So do I mean this one specifically? And players can discuss that, but the person being the AI cannot give out that information. They have numbers on these tiles. They have the key. See, each of these astronauts has a very specific key, and you need to figure out which astronaut has which key in most of the scenarios, and you'll do that there. As players figure it out, they might put these tokens here to help them. They can slide these switches here. By the way, this is a pretty shoddy playing components. And so players are using this board. This board also keeps track of how many rounds. After players get it out there, they might say, okay, well, we think this one's here, we think this one's here, we think this one's here, we think this one's here. We got it. But they only say we got it when they're sure. If they say that, and they are correct, then everyone wins, including the AI player. But otherwise, they do it, and then looking at what they do, I might say the red one is wrong. But again, you can do all kinds of things with these tiles. I can maybe point the red arrow, moves this direction by 1. You can put the tiles out any way you want as long as they fit behind your shield, and then you lift it up and people are going to look at that. And you're just going to keep going till you run out of turns, in which case everyone loses, or until you have everyone in place, sometimes with the correct numbers on them and the correct colors. You don't even know which astronauts are in the game. These are the 4 that are out, but it might have been the white or blue. But once you figure it out, you all win. There's a lot that I like about this game. One of the things I do not like is the components. Like I said, I think they're pretty shoddy. I don't think they look very good. I don't think the rules are particularly helpful. I would have shown a lot more examples in the rules. And I'm not even sure why the rule book needs to be different than the mission book. Because the mission book's like, well, here's how missions work and how to read them. That should have just all been, I think, in one. So as you go through this, it's not particularly hard to figure it out once you get through it, but this is one of those games where you almost need to see an example of it being played. See, the giving out of clues part of this scenario, the way that works is players are placing clues out on the board, but you got to figure out how to do that, and it becomes sort of a meta around the game. After a while, when you place a tile, players go, he placed it in that way, therefore that's how he does it. Or she did it this kind of way, but we always do when these two tiles are together, they mean this. This is very similar to a game called Concept, which is a very fun, more activity than game. This is much more of a game. And it's funny because I played this game quite a bit, and as the AI, it's funny, or maybe not ha-ha funny because you don't think that when it happens, but players will have things in the right spot, and then one person goes, but they put this tile slightly crooked. Maybe they mean this. And you're like, I want to kill you. But as the AI player, you're not allowed to talk, and you just kind of sit there and let everyone discuss it over. To that end, this game doesn't particularly need a huge amount of players. It's probably best with 3. I like 3 because there's one AI and then 2 people talking back and forth as they solve the puzzle. But the puzzles can be quite devious. You know, I mentioned, like I showed you the color tiles. Many of the puzzles, you don't get to use the color tiles as the AI. That's really hard. You have to kind of give people an idea of what's there, but then tell them wrong color. So they change it. Or switch these two. But how do you switch these two when you don't know? You have to use the tiles in clever and interesting ways. And I think that's where the depth of this game is. Because definitely not that. I also think this game's a little esoteric. It is not going to be for everybody. I know many, many people in my family, my friends, game groups, who I would never even suggest this game to. But for me, it's one that I like a lot. I like these kind of games where, not that there's no communication, but there's smart, interesting, limited communication. And when it works that way, and when you do solve it, you feel such a success. It wasn't random. You were figuring it out. Like I said, the meta is going to come to play in that. You're going to get better on subsequent playings of this just because you know what the tiles mean. Like one of the tiles looks like a caret or a greater than symbol, and I used it as an arrow in a game that I was playing with someone as an arrow. And they just kept thinking, how is 4 greater than 6? And I was telling them to move 4 over to the 6. And it just, we got busted. But then once after the game was over, we talked about it like that meant an arrow. Now next game, they knew it was an arrow when I used it that way. So it's a fun game, particularly for clever people who are trying to communicate with just these tiles. Can be a little bit frustrating to watch people completely misunderstand what you're trying to say, but hey, that's life too anyway. So check it out despite everything else. I give this one an 8 out of 10. That's AI Space Puzzle. Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel.